You finish something important, and for a few seconds you feel proud. Then a second voice appears. It tells you it was not impressive enough, not fast enough, not special enough. Someone else could have done it better. Someone else already has. So you move the finish line again. That is the exhausting part. It is not only that life is hard. It is that many people live with a private feeling that no matter what they do, it still does not count. They work harder, compare more, and hide the parts of themselves that feel unfinished. Here are 7 hidden reasons you never feel good enough, and why that feeling often has less to do with your worth than you think. Number 7. You only notice what is missing. When people do not feel good enough, they often become experts at scanning for absence. You clean the kitchen, but your eyes go straight to the one corner you missed. You finish a project, but you focus on the part that could have been smoother. You receive praise, but your mind quietly says, yes, but what about the part one failed at? This habit can look like high standards. Sometimes it even gets rewarded. Teachers, bosses, and other people may call you driven or detail-oriented. But inside, it creates a painful imbalance. Your mind becomes a spotlight aimed only at flaws, delays, mistakes, and gaps. What is complete feels invisible. What is strong feels ordinary. What is missing feels enormous. Over time, this changes how you see yourself. You do not build an identity from the things you do well. You build it from whatever still feels unfinished. That is why some people achieve more and more, but never feel more whole. If your attention always lands on what is missing, how could you ever feel like enough? Number 6. You confuse being loved with being useful. Many people first learn their value through what they provide. Maybe you were praised for being easy, responsible, calm, helpful, mature, or needed. Maybe adults smiled most when you caused no trouble. Maybe love felt warm, but also a little conditional. So you learned a quiet lesson. I matter when I perform well for other people. Later in life, that lesson can hide behind kindness. You answer every message. You solve everyone's problems. You take care of what others forget. You become the reliable one. That sounds admirable. Sometimes it truly is. But if usefulness becomes your main source of worth, rest starts to feel guilty. Saying no feels selfish. Being ordinary feels dangerous. What happens when you are tired? What happens when you need support? What happens when you disappoint someone? If your value depends on what you give, then human limits start to feel like personal failure. And that is a heavy way to live. You're not only worthy when you are helping, fixing, calming, or carrying other people. But if usefulness became your identity, it can take years to believe that. Number 5. You compare your inside to everyone else's outside. Comparison is older than social media, but modern life has made it constant. You see someone more confident, more disciplined, more attractive, more successful, more socially fluent, and your brain instantly fills in the rest of the story. They know what they are doing. They have something I do not. They are naturally better. What you do not see is their private confusion, their insecurity, their grief, their luck, their support system, or the years of work behind the part you happen to witness. But your own inner world is always fully available to you. You feel your doubts. You know your messy habits. You remember every awkward moment, delay, and regret. So the comparison is never fair. You compare your behind-the-scenes life to another person's edited moment. You compare your fear to their performance. You compare your process to their result. No wonder you end up feeling smaller. Comparison becomes especially cruel when it happens automatically. You do not even decide to do it. The mind simply measures and concludes. And most of the time, it concludes against you. The more often you borrow other people's lives as proof that you are failing, the harder it becomes to feel solid inside your own. Number 4. You believe confidence comes before action. Many people wait to feel ready before they allow themselves to move. They think confident people speak because they feel certain. Confident people apply because they know they will succeed. Confident people set boundaries because they are naturally brave. But that is not usually how confidence works. In real life, confidence often grows after action, not before it. A person speaks up with a shaking voice. They survive it. Then they trust themselves a little more. Someone sets one awkward boundary. It feels uncomfortable, but nothing collapses. Then their self-respect grows. A person tries, fails, learns, tries again, and slowly becomes less afraid. If you secretly believe that you must already feel strong before you begin, then every moment of fear becomes evidence that you are not ready. You wait. You prepare. You think. You improve. You delay. And while you delay, the people around you look more certain simply because they moved before they felt finished. Then the old belief returns. See, I am behind. But being uncertain does not mean you are incapable. It often means you are human and in motion. Sometimes the reason you do not feel good enough is not that you lack ability. It is that you are expecting confidence to arrive before courage. Number 3. Your inner voice borrowed its language from old criticism. Not every harsh thought begins with you. Sometimes it begins with the voice of a parent who expected too much, a teacher who embarrassed you, a sibling who mocked your weakness, a culture that rewarded perfection, a childhood where mistakes felt dangerous, expensive, or shameful. Years pass, but the voice stays. Now it speaks from inside your own head. It sounds automatic, practical, even protective. Do better. Be careful. Do not embarrass yourself. That was stupid. You should already know this. Because the voice is familiar, many people assume it must be true. But familiarity is not truth. A critical inner voice often survives because it once helped you adapt. If being hard on yourself kept you alert, obedient, successful, or emotionally safe, then your mind may still treat self-criticism as useful. The problem is that what once protected you may now be injuring you. A voice that never lets you rest can make achievement feel empty. A voice that calls everything not enough can make growth feel invisible. A voice that attacks you in the name of improvement can slowly destroy your ability to trust yourself. And when the critic becomes normal, kindness starts to feel suspicious. That is one of the saddest parts. Some people do not feel good enough because they are listening to a voice that was never truly on their side. Number 2. You turn self-worth into a moving target. At first, the target seems simple. When I lose weight, I will feel better. When I get the degree, I will feel better. When I earn more, become more attractive, get married, heal completely, speak perfectly, or stop making mistakes, then I will finally feel enough. But the target rarely stays still. You reach one milestone, and the mind quickly creates another. The goal was never only the goal. It was carrying a fantasy that one future version of you would finally be free from self-doubt. So even when something good happens, really, EF does not last long. The promotion becomes pressure. The compliment becomes a standard to maintain. The achievement becomes a baseline. The goalpost moves again. This is why people can look successful from the outside and still feel quietly deficient. Their self-worth is attached to conditions that keep changing. That kind of worth is unstable by design. Real growth matters. Ambition is not the enemy. Improvement can be beautiful. But if your mind keeps saying, I will respect myself later, then later never fully arrives. Enoughness cannot survive if it is always postponed to the next version of you. Number 1. You learn to earn worth instead of recognizing it. This may be the deepest reason of all. Many people do not merely struggle with confidence. They carry a basic emotional belief that worth must be earned. Earned through achievement. Earned through discipline. Earned through beauty. Earned through sacrifice. Earned through being easy to love. Earned through never needing too much. If that belief sits underneath your life, then everything becomes a test. Success means temporary safety. Failure means exposure. Rest feels undeserved. Mistakes feel like proof. Needing reassurance feels embarrassing. Asking for help feels like weakness. You are not just living life. You are constantly trying to justify your place in it. That is why "you are enough" can sound empty to someone who has spent years treating worth like a performance review. Because the issue is not vocabulary. It is conditioning. Still, this belief can change. Not all at once. Not through one quote. Not through pretending you suddenly love everything about yourself. Usually, it changes through smaller moments. You let yourself make a mistake without turning it into an identity. You keep a promise to yourself. You stop apologizing for having needs. You notice the critic, but do not obey it. You realize your body is not a report card. You discover that someone can love you even when you are tired, imperfect, or unsure. Little by little, a different truth becomes possible. Your worth was never something you had to manufacture from scratch. It was something you kept losing sight of while trying to earn what was already there. You finish something important, and for a few seconds you feel proud. Maybe next time that feeling does not have to disappear so quickly. Maybe enough is not a prize waiting at the end of perfection. Maybe it begins the moment you stop treating your existence like something that must be justified.